Hi, in this tutorial we will learn how to set in CSS and not in HTML, in CSS, different font sizes. We will use really simple stuff, obvious stuff, which is font size. You cannot get more simpler than that. That's the property. Font size will be 5 pixels, for example, which is really small font. Maybe you can play around with your co-workers by sending him or them link to some of your internal website or external testing web page and ask them, does your site look correct? And they will say no, and you will say, but on my page everything looks fine. So you can, trick them into thinking that their browser or PC is a little bit messed up, but don't overdo that. People can be sometimes, a little bit nasty about that because they think that they know everything. Anyway, let's go to font size. In this case, the 16 pixels will look fine, and I'm basically using 14 and 16 pixels. Rarely 12 pixels. As I said in the last tutorial, you need to pay attention to this and read a little bit about usability. There is a couple of dedicated websites I was talking about. Definitely do read about usability on web, because it will mean a lot to you. You will understand that using frameworks and knowing a little bit of CSS is not enough. There must be that usability thing in the back of your brain that will work all the time, because website really means nothing if people cannot remember it and if they cannot read content on that site. So think about that. Now let's change this default font to font family will be Verdana. I do love Verdana a lot, and Arial, of course, but more Verdana. It looks a little bit more usable, well, at least for me. So what's next? Yeah, the next property is a little bit weird. It's a font variant. That means that font family will be same, but font variant will, but specific font on that page, text on that page will be lower down for how to say this, for some level. Let me explain this by practicing. So font variant and value will be small caps. So all letters will go small caps, and check what's going on. So it's really similar to text transformation options. Text transform and capitalize, for example. You can play a lot with this. So there is many combinations. But don't overdo it, as I said. I think that the best solution is to stick to some defaults, to stick to simple things, because basically usability means don't force your user to think about what he needs. Stick to default things like default font sizes and families. When you are combining this font variant and text transformation, your page can look a little bit different, and that can be funny for some time. But imagine that you have millions of euros on your website and you're losing actually money because your pages are not usable. This is exactly the reason why companies are hiring dedicated professionals into usability area. So some my advice, if I'm allowed to make advice about usability, because I'm not expert on this, is just stick to default and what major companies are using. I mean, big companies, millions and billions of dollars, they cannot make, you know, too much errors in that, because they will be punished by market. So copy paste them and you will be fine. Some people will say you cannot copy paste companies because you want to be unique. But the fact is that in a business, if you follow the rules of successful people and successful companies, you will get similar results. So you will be successful. I think that we can use that analogy into programming, web development and stuff. So yeah, font size, font family, font variant, really easy thing to do. Can you use percents for this? For example, 5% of the page, what will happen? This, and if you scale up to 25, what will happen? And nothing will happen basically. So just stick to pixels. You can experiment with these percents, but I don't recommend that, you know. You can mess around with borders, with margins in percent, with dimensions of containers, but for fonts and generally I think that pixels are a better solution. So yeah, that's about it. Really simple tutorial. Stick with defaults, you will be fine. When you're fine, you're using your time for creating stuff and not for correcting errors. So as always, thank you for watching, and see you next tutorial.